Your reputation is a weapon. It works for you or against you long before you enter the room. The world judges you not on the complexity of your character, but on the simplicity of your public image. What people believe you to be is more potent than what you actually are. This is not a cynical observation. It is a fundamental law of power. To ignore it is to leave your greatest asset and your greatest vulnerability in the hands of others. Most people drift through life, allowing their reputation to be shaped by rumor, chance, and the opinions of their rivals. They hope their good intentions will be recognized. They believe their hard work will speak for itself. This is a dangerous miscalculation. Hope is not a strategy. Your reputation must be forged, curated, and defended with the same discipline a general applies to a military campaign. The master of this art was Machiavelli. 5 centuries ago, he wrote the ultimate handbook for those who understand that power is a game of perception. His advice was not for the faint of heart, but for the prince, the leader, the strategist, who must navigate the treacherous currents of human nature to achieve their objectives and secure their position. Today, we distill his timeless wisdom. This is not about being false. It is about being strategic. It is about controlling the narrative so it does not control you. Let us begin with a common scenario. You are known in your professional life as too nice. You try to be accommodating and understanding, but you find your authority is constantly challenged. Subordinates miss deadlines without fear of consequence. Colleagues talk over you in meetings. Your attempts at being a benevolent leader are interpreted as weakness, and your position erodes with every concession you make. The principle you must grasp is this: it is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. Love is a fragile bond, held together by a chain of obligation which, because men are by nature self-interested, is broken whenever it serves their purpose to do so. Fear, however, is sustained by a dread of punishment, which is an attachment that never fails. Machiavelli observed this with cold clarity. He wrote, "Since love and fear can hardly exist together, if we must choose between them, it is far safer to be feared than loved." A leader who relies on affection is building their house on sand. The goodwill of others is a fickle resource, dependent on their mood, their needs, and their perception of what you can do for them. When you can no longer provide, or when a difficult decision must be made that displeases them, that love evaporates. Fear, however, is a currency you control. It is rooted not in their feelings, but in their rational calculation of the consequences of defiance. The takeaway is not to become a tyrant. A tyrant is hated, and hatred is a fatal poison we will address next. The key is to establish that you are capable of decisive, firm, and consequential action. Your kindness should be a choice, not a default setting. When you grant a leniency, it must be seen as an exception, not the rule. Respect is not born from being liked. It is born from the understanding that your authority is real, your standards are high, and that crossing you has a cost. Your reputation must be that of one who is fair but formidable. Now, consider a different threat. A false rumor is spreading about you at work. It could be an accusation of taking credit for another's work, or a whisper about a personal failing. It is a lie, but it is damaging your credibility. Your colleagues look at you differently. Your superiors seem hesitant. The lie, repeated enough, is solidifying into a perceived truth, and your reputation is being poisoned. This brings us to the second, and perhaps most critical, principle. A prince must avoid being hated or held in contempt above all else. While fear is a tool, hatred is a force of nature that, once unleashed, is nearly impossible to contain. Contempt is its quiet cousin, an acid that dissolves authority. Machiavelli was explicit on this point. He identified the 2 things that make a ruler truly hated: seizing the property of his subjects and dishonoring their women. In the modern context, this translates to actions that are perceived as rapacious, unjust, and deeply personal. Taking credit for a subordinate's work is a form of seizing property. Publicly humiliating a colleague is a form of dishonor. These actions do not create fear, they create deep, burning resentment. They breed a desire for revenge. As Machiavelli wrote, "A prince who is not hated is not likely to be conspired against." Hatred is the fuel of every conspiracy, every mutiny, every quiet campaign to undermine you. Understanding these distinctions is the first step toward mastery. If you are committed to mastering the dynamics of influence, consider subscribing to this channel for more lessons in strategy and power. The takeaway is this: your use of fear and authority must be surgical and anchored in a reputation for justice. Punish failures, not people. Enforce standards, not whims. Your difficult decisions must be defensible, necessary, and applied impersonally. You want a reputation for being tough but fair, a person whose judgment is respected, even by those who are disciplined by it. Avoid any action that makes you seem greedy, arbitrary, or cruel. Fear keeps people in line. Hatred makes them look for a way to depose you. Defend your reputation against actions that could make you hated as fiercely as you would defend your own life. Let us address the third scenario. You have ambition. You want to be seen as a leader, a person of substance and command, but you do not know how to project these qualities. You do your work diligently, but you remain in the background. You have the intellect and the drive, but you lack the perceived gravitas. You are invisible. The principle here is the power of appearances. To be a leader, you must first appear to be a leader. The world does not have time to conduct a deep investigation into your soul. It will judge you on what it sees. Therefore, you must be the master of what is seen. Machiavelli understood that the perception of virtue is often more important than the possession of it. He wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." He lists the qualities a leader should be seen to possess: to appear merciful, faithful, humane, upright, and religious. The key word is appear. He states that while it is good to have these qualities, a leader must have a mind so conditioned that when it is necessary not to have them, he can act in a contrary way. The appearance of integrity must be constant. The actual deployment of ruthless action must be rare, swift, and justified by necessity. This is the ultimate performance of statecraft. Your public persona is your suit of armor. You must consciously cultivate it. The way you speak, the way you carry yourself, the decisions you broadcast, all must contribute to the image of the leader you wish to become. Speak with conviction. Act with decisiveness, even when you feel uncertain. Publicly champion the values of the organization. Project an unwavering calm. This is not hypocrisy. It is strategy. It is the recognition that leadership is a role you play before it becomes a title you are given. The world will grant authority to the person who already looks like they possess it. So, what is the unifying lesson in this? Your reputation is not a reflection of your true self. It is a strategic creation. It is the first line of defense and the primary tool of your ambition. Left untended, it will be defined by your enemies and by circumstance. But when actively managed, it becomes an invisible force that shapes your reality. We have seen that you must be feared more than loved, for fear is a more reliable foundation for authority. But this fear must be tempered. You must at all costs avoid being hated or held in contempt, for hatred breeds rebellion and contempt erodes power. And finally, you must master the art of appearances, projecting the virtues of leadership so consistently that the world has no choice but to see you as a leader. This is the cold calculus of power as laid down by Machiavelli. It is not about being a good person or a bad person. It is about being an effective one. In the arena of life, whether it is an office, a boardroom, or a political stage, perception is reality. You must become the architect of that reality. Control what they say about you when you are not in the room, and you will control the outcome when you finally enter it. Build your reputation as you would build a fortress, stone by stone, with deliberation, foresight, and an unshakable will. What is one word you want people to associate with your reputation? State it in the comments below. If you wish to continue forging your understanding of power and strategy, subscribe to this channel and activate notifications. There is more to learn. Continue your education by watching the video now on your screen.